Hi, welcome to TTM Overcomers Rising, How to Live Out Your Days Victoriously. Today with me, I have Stephanie Pniewski, who is a mom of two. She's happily married and she is a part of a fit club. It's called the Fit Crew and also Beachbody. And she has just actually learned this year that there's a name called Trichotillomania. But thank you, Stephanie, for joining. And I'm so happy that we have connected. So at the beginning, I just want to start our viewers in you sharing, when did your hair pulling disorder start for you?
So from what I can remember, it started maybe around 9. And I just remember I was still, I think I was in, it might have been, it's kind of a blur because I remember, all I can remember is lying in bed and like I can't go to sleep. I had to go to school the next morning and I would hear my parents fighting. And my parents fought a lot. They didn't get along, but they toughed it out because they had to for the family, for our kids. And so I remember like sitting there and the very first time I pulled, it was when I was hearing them fighting and I couldn't go to sleep and I started feeling anxious and I just started pulling them out. And then by the end, I stayed up almost all night long. And by the end, I woke up and I had no eyelashes and I'm like, what happened? And so I was kind of confused. And then I just kind of covered it up because I had to go to school. And then it just kind of kept happening. And, yeah, I just kind of did it on and off. And I just thought it was this weird habit. And I didn't really, I just kept to myself because it was embarrassing. And my mom would catch me sometimes doing it. But she would always tell me, just stop. Why can't you just stop? And then I was like, I can't stop. And then I get frustrated and just depressed almost. And so I'm like, I'm just, I'm trying not to do it in front of her. And so I would do it at night a lot when I went to bed by myself. Yeah, that's kind of where it started. And
so what were your problem areas? What areas did you pull out your hair?
So it was my eyelashes. And I feel like what bothers me the most is when they stick together and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't have. And so that was almost like a trigger for me sometimes when I would feel that, when I'd lay in bed and like listen to them, I'd be like, oh, my eyelash is touching. And then I would just start pulling them out to try and get that from not feeling that anymore. So yeah, it's just strange, especially we're talking about it now because I've actually talked about that part before.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I've learned through writing my blogs and stuff, just being open, it kind of just helps you and it kind of makes your healing journey keep flowing and going when we're just open about certain things too, So how many years have you battled from start to whatever? How many years has Trick been a battle for you?
So I want to say since I was 9, so and I'm 32 now, 33.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy because it started with me when I was 9 and I'm 33. I just turned 33 this month. So yeah. So I wrote down February 2019. So you talked about with me, that's when you found out that this actually had a name. What happened? What were you looking at when you kind of came to that realization that what you're struggling with actually had a medical name, as well as other people battled it as well? What happened during that time?
So in February, we were just kind of, I feel like I was getting over some struggles with, I had postpartum anxiety really bad, like to the point where I didn't want to leave the house. And then I feel like it got worse. And then we lost my father-in-law to cancer. I watched him pass away and I just went in a downward spiral. And then we had a ceremony for him. And then this past February, we were kind of just getting back to normal. And then I was realizing I was doing it again. Maybe I was just more mindful of it. Like, man, I'm doing it again. What is going on? And I got fed up. I felt like I need to figure out why I'm doing this. And another thing is I kept it from my husband. My husband and I have been together, not even married, since 2006. And so I just felt in my heart as I was going to church more and praying more, I feel like God was like, you need to tell him, you need to get this off your chest that, you know, whatever habit this is. And so before I told him, I'm like, well, I'm going to look this up first and see if it's just a habit or, you know, if this is something I have before I go and tell him, because I'm a very like factual person. I want to know everything before I tell people and research it. And so when I did that and I started Googling and I started looking up hashtags on Instagram and I was seeing and relating to people, I'm like, this is what I'm experiencing. And then when I went to the eye doctor and she's like, yeah, this is a thing, and eyelashes, you know. And so I just remember one night what happened is we were having in February, I did a self-love challenge in our group fit community. And I wanted to be all about loving ourselves for who we are, no matter what we look like, no matter what was going on in our lives. And it was just, I just felt like I could tell them because they've seen my journey. I was able to relate to them with anxiety and depression and things like that. And so I felt like I'm like, this is the time to at least tell them. And so they were the first people I told. And I'm like, you guys, I just found out about this last night. Like, I feel like I have this. And they were very encouraging, just like they've been with me with everything else. And they're like, you need to tell them. And they're all, you know, Jesus lovers too. And they're like, he would, you know, he wants you to do this. He's laying this on your heart to do this. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell him. And when I did, it was relief for me. And I'm like, this is what I have. And he's like, that's it. That, you know, that's all. He acted like it was no big deal. And so that was the first part where I'm like, okay. And I just felt like I had support when I felt like I never had any. I just felt so alone. And that was time like, man, I'm so glad I opened up to this, at least to my husband, because I felt so, we don't like keeping things from each other. We're very honest with each other. And that was something that I was holding on to our whole relationship. And so, yeah, I kind of got the subject with that, but that's kind of where I'm like, okay, I need to get this out there and at least tell the person closest to me, because he was my best friend. So, so is that, you know, sharing it with my girls, and then they're like, you need to tell them. So
Yeah. So that's how your healing journey started. You found out it has a name, that, you know, other people have it, but then you needed to be open with family and others that you're struggling with this. So you became a part of a Facebook group called Overcoming Trichotillomania. And how has that helped you kind of to connect to that support group? Also, you're part of another group. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but you can share that as well, how you're linked to these different support groups that also is deals with depression, anxiety, eating disorders. I think they kind of, it's all in the same bowl with trichotillomania. It's a struggle, it's a weakness we have. It harms our body, but just trying to overcome. So just share with the viewers how being a part of groups, support systems is helping you throughout your days.
So when I found this support group on Facebook, I noticed it was faith-based, and I was drawn to that because of my faith. I actually came to know Jesus and was saved through fitness. Actually, it's it's crazy, but like the more I worked on myself, the more I had more clarity, the more I felt better. I felt like I was able to listen to him more, and I found him through fitness. And then when I found that was faith-based, I'm like, this is where I need to. I was seeing other groups, not to say that those were bad, but I was drawn to that because, you know, I could relate faith-wise, and they were able to pray for me and just so supportive. And so I just felt like I wasn't alone. I started, you know, sharing, I'm going to, you know, I have this big goal. I have this big trip I'm having in this July. And I'm like, I want to have full eyelashes for that. And they're just so supportive. And I just remember, when I decided to go public with it, because I feel like if I went public with it, it gave me more accountability, just like with my fitness journey. And so I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fight this. I'm not going to let this take over my life. And so when I went public about it, I was saying, I'm on day 1, right? I'm like, I'm so excited. Like, I'm on day 2, just like with my workouts. Like, I'm on week 6 or whatever. But I got to day 21 and I pulled, and because I was like, pull free, and I pulled some, and I broke down. It was like, I was just crying in the bathroom by myself. I'm like, I felt I failed. And I went and I share this in my 5 tips with Trick, but there was a girl, one of the administrators or starter of the group, she said, it's not about perfection. It's not about, always being focusing on pull free. You just have to make it not control your life. And the fact that I was able to stop and not go into a pull frenzy where I pulled everything out, she gave me encouragement for that. Like, it's something. Don't think that you completely failed. You're not. You're Jesus's daughter. You're God's daughter. Like, you are not a failure. And it just lifted me up, and it made me realize, well, I share that with the girls in my fit community when I share how if you ate a donut, get over it. Like, it's no big deal. You're not a failure because you ate a donut. Like, this is life. You're gonna mess up, and there's always joy in the morning, and you can start new again. And so she made me realize that in that faith-based group. And I'm like, okay, I might not always be pull free. I might maybe pull 1 or 2 out here every now and then, but it just gave me encouragement and be like, okay, we're not perfect. And I just got to take one day at a time. So that's why I really enjoy the faith-based group and being able to pray for others and then being able to pray for me. So
yeah. So it reminds me of when I talked to Lindsay Mueller. She's the author of the book Life is Tricky. And when I read her book, I think she heard it from someone, but it resonates in my life. It says, because she stumbled as well, Lindsay. She thought, hey, I thought I was over this. Like, why, after all this time, did I stumble? And she got advice from a woman who said, you're not recovered, you're in recovery. So just always have that mentality, like, it's not, far, far away from you. You're always in that process of recovery. And it's also changing our mindset. Celebrate the 21 days you had of freedom. It's like we get caught up in that one moment, in that one day, but it's like, wait, you're 21 days like pull free, like let's celebrate that, And so it's just kind of, we have this weakness, and for some reason we pull out our hair. It's a stumbling block for us, but we're going to rise above it. We're going to celebrate the days of freedom and give ourselves grace, for the days that we stumble. And so it is so important that you're part of a support group, because when we're weak, when we don't know how to process it, just like that person came alongside you and gave you, the strength and the hope, let's just keep going. This is just a stumbling block, So that's awesome. So you talked a little bit about tricks that you use for overcoming trichotillomania. Did you learn these tricks from your support groups, or little things that you've learned throughout your day?
Both, actually. Both from the support group and just from now that being more aware of it. It's really helping me when I'm just more aware, and I journal a lot. Like, I journal my nutrition, I journal how I feel when I wake up in the morning, and I was just noticing, my behaviors and my thoughts throughout the day. And so just being more mindful of that.
Yeah. So you mentioned journaling. What other little things do you do? You're being mindful of yourself. And is there any other things that you use?
Pray. I seriously, and I talk to Jesus all the time, like he's my best friend. And I'm like, and when I feel like I had that urge, I'm like, Lord, please help me right now. Like, I need your help. I need your strength. It's not my strength, it's yours. Yeah. And I do a lot more of that now. And, and I asked for prayer too. I didn't used to do that. I'm like, pray for me. But now I'm like, pray for me, please. Like, it really helps. It really does. And just taking care of myself, it makes a difference when I take a little bit of time in the morning to myself. My kids are usually early birds. They would get up at 5:30 in the morning, and it would just kill me. And I would have no time to just like wake up and give not some coffee. And so I found the more I was not taking care of myself and just kind of going through the motions of the day and not eating, I had trouble with not eating for a while, or I just would just not forget to eat or whatever. And I just noticed that I'm more inclined to pull on those days. So just little things like that. We're just making sure I had a little bit of quiet time to myself, a little bit of time to read my Bible, a little time to pray before the kids woke up, a little time to get a little workout in before they got up. So it made my mood better to where I felt more confident throughout the day and more energetic and more, just more aware, because I just felt better.
So you're finding ways to overcome your days. You're not letting it consume you anymore. Yes, we're weak, but celebrate the 21 days of freedom, and just, even like you said with the donut, if you accidentally eat a donut, shake it off and keep going, don't consume the whole box.
I want to.
Yeah, we do. And so you're very physically active, and you kind of mentioned it before, but is that helping you with your anxiety and everything, with the trick and stuff? Has that helped you in your daily activities?
Yes. If I stay consistent, I would notice when I was going through the hard time that we had back in 2017, it's like I just didn't do it every day. And I noticed that my anxiety was higher. I was pulling way more. And so I make it a habit no matter what to do it, because I know I'll feel better, and I know that I won't pull as much if I do that. It's a mood lifter for me. It's like it instantly makes me feel better no matter what comes at me that day. I feel like I'm just much stronger mentally.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you got some muscles on your arms, don't you? I was staring at him like, dang, we're the same age, but I guess I need to go out and take a walk right now. Or do something. I always get discouraged. Well, I guess it's actually inspiring. Like, I'll be driving and I'll see like an old man like jogging. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to go out and do something.
You're like, oh
He's
man.
like, he's 80. So you have a free offer that we are going to attach that you've created. It's a document that people can download, but you wrote down for people little tricks and stuff. And so I'm thankful that you did that. So thank you for doing that for the viewers. So we have a few minutes left, and I just want you in this closing, if someone's watching who has trichotillomania and feels trapped, or they're in that season where they feel like they can't get out, they can't enjoy life, they can't, be happy, what is something that you can give them, like just an encouraging word and inspiration? We're all in healing journeys. We all have different levels, but we all have a voice and something to share. So in this time, Stephanie, go for it.
Just trusting that God has a plan for that. I heard in church last week of God doesn't use our strengths. He uses our weaknesses and our brokenness to build us up and to help others. So when you feel weak, it's like there's other people out there that feel weak too. And when you share that you are weak, you can make someone else stronger. And just knowing that there is a purpose through it, even if you don't feel like there is in the moment, because I didn't either. But the more I'm sharing it with other people, I'm realizing the purpose of it. And it's to just create more awareness and I mean, I was even finding in the Overcoming Trichomania group, like there's kids that have this, teenagers, babies, like this is something that needs to be shared. And if people are hiding it and struggling internally, it's just more of therapy if you're, you know. And I think that's why God uses these weaknesses, you know, that, so know that if you are weak, use those weaknesses to empower other people. And when you're doing that, it'll empower you more and make you stronger. So that's,
No, it's awesome. Thank you so much for joining for today. And I'm so thankful to interview you. And I love your glasses. I want them.
I like the brown on yours too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate this. This was really nice. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining in, and have a good day.